Hey you guys, so I wanted to make this stream over here. I have uh, a stuffy nose today. I have allergies, so as a result of that, my eyes are just my eyes are so itchy. I don't know what it is. There's just something that's been bothering me. So anyway, I one of the things that you guys know about me is that I think a little too much about things that happen in the past with people that I know. Um, and I shared with you guys this one story of this one individual I knew. His name was Jordan. And I've touched upon it, and I'll tell you what happened. So basically, he was a person that I went to college with, and he was incredibly smart, and he was, in my opinion, a good person. He was kind of awkward. He didn't know how to dress himself. He was basically a person who should be wearing basically a small or medium, but he was wearing a large. I mean, this guy looked like a freaking tent when he was walking around. Um, and I could tell that it affected his psyche. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is that sometimes I've told you guys this. If you have certain things within you, you can sense it in other people because you've been there, right? So I saw this person who didn't look like a malicious person at all, and he wasn't. And he had a great mind, but the only downside is that he lacked confidence. So I gave him a makeover, and I known him for, I'd say, see, I'm really bad with the time, but I would say about a year. And he looked great. He got his hair done, he got his brows done, he was, he got shoes, everything like that, and I was really proud of him. The only downside is that he started changing as a person, and I felt like he was getting cocky, so I just stopped talking to him. And it wasn't that we had a blowout fight or anything like that. We just distanced ourselves. It was nothing personal, okay? So my thing is that I don't like being around cocky individuals. Reason being is that when a person is like really cocky, it just irritates me, and I don't want to be that person who blows up at them. So I just kind of let them be. I said, you know what, if Jordan is really going to be like this, then you know what, I wish him the best in life. He obviously is very driven. He's very smart. Um, that's it. So life goes on, and I think about 2 3 years later, he tells me that he just reached out to me, and he tells me that he got married to a guy, and I didn't know he was gay. I'll say I have no problem with people who are gay, but I didn't know that. And he said, don't think I'm some kind of rent boy because I'm not. He told me that he got into medical school, everything was all good, and he wanted to talk to me. He wanted to talk to me on AIM. However, right during this time, I didn't really use AIM anymore, and I said, oh, okay. And then I went on AIM. I didn't see him on there because I didn't really, let's be honest here. I didn't really think like, hey, let me reach out to him otherwise, because I had this notion in my head that he was still, kind of cocky or something like that. I thought, you know what, if he wants to reach out to me, he can give me a call. He didn't give me a call. That was the last time I spoke with him. And then I found out that terrible things happened to him. So, in between the time that we last spoke and when he passed away, I found out that his husband, he like basically something happened where he got kicked out of medical school, and then his husband passed away, and he was brokenhearted. And allegedly, this is allegedly, okay, because I can't verify this stuff, but allegedly, what happened is that he moved back home. He had some sort of mental breakdown of sorts, and allegedly, this is I don't know if this is true or not, right? Allegedly, his parents did not like it that he was gay. So because he had some sort of, he had a mental breakdown, and his parents didn't like that he was gay, they kicked him out of the home. He lived with his girlfriend at the time, but he didn't have any purpose in life. He wanted to get into the medical field. He wanted to get into um, a specific like subset of that. And he was really passionate about it. And because he got kicked out, he knew he could no longer pursue that path. So as a result of that, he got very depressed. And his girlfriend saw this, and she saw him that he was mixing basically some sort. I think it was over the counter with alcohol, and she saw that he passed out. And his mental state was going down. He was just very, very depressed. He ended up getting 5150, and she got so overwhelmed by it that she kicked him out of the house. But, she says she really cared for him. She just couldn't deal with it. So after he got 5150, that means that he went to the hospital and he got an involuntary hold. When he got released, she said, give me your keys, we're breaking up. And he said, okay. And then he went to his car. And I don't know what happened, but I'm assuming he overdosed because 3 days later, his body was found. And it was very, like, when people told me about this, I was shocked because the backstory of that is that his girlfriend, I believe it was his girlfriend, reached out to me, or it was someone else who. Anyway, long story short, I met up with the girlfriend, and she told me, she said, Erica, Jordan spoke about you, and I was like, really? And she was like, yeah. She said that he got along with you, and you gave him a makeover, and I asked him, why didn't you reach out to Erica? And he was quiet, and he just said he couldn't. And when he passed away, he was about a 5-minute walk from where I live. And I spoke to people at his memorial. His parents weren't there. Allegedly, the mom was so distraught about what happened, she ended up in the ICU. And it's like I was talking to people and I said, well, what the hell happened? Because the people that I saw there was people that I knew back when I was in college, right? So I knew that these people knew him very well, and they told me, they said, oh, he changed, Erica, he became a different person. And that's all they would go into it. They wouldn't go into details. What I'm telling you is stuff that I pieced together from several individuals about what happened. He got very depressed, and yeah, it's like people saw what was happening, but a lot of people just, from what I'm telling you, right, they just decided to distance themselves while he was going down. And this is something that's really important because when I think about Jordan, and this has been years, this has been about 5 years since he passed away, okay? And I've spoken about Jordan several times. I saw Jordan as an absolute failure of people around him. And I also blame myself for it. It's like, I know, like, people say, Erica, you didn't know. You're right, I didn't know. But I blame myself because it's like, I kind of think to myself, I never communicated to Jordan that, yeah, hey, Jordan, I don't want to talk to you anymore because I feel like you're being cocky. Hey, Jordan, I don't want to talk to you anymore because I don't want to, like, get into this, like, possible argument with you, or you're changing, and I feel like I'm possibly holding your real personality back, or what your new personality back would be. So it was basically my fear of telling him the truth, right? And I wish he had spoken to me, but I also recognize the stuff that I didn't do. I didn't communicate this stuff. So what I'm trying to get on with this thing is, you have to be wary about the people around you, because Jordan had people that saw him going down a down path. They knew what they were doing, in my opinion. I think his parents knew. If they kicked him out, hey, where the hell would he go? He doesn't have a job, right? There was not enough support for Jordan. But there were a lot of people who, in my opinion, expected him to fail. People who were keeping tabs with him. Remember, I had not spoken to Jordan. And the last time I spoke to Jordan is when his husband was alive. So between the time his husband was alive to the time that he possibly OD'd, there was a lot that was going on. And I did not know about that, okay? So there were a lot of people who were watching him go downhill. And in my opinion, these people chose to just kind of say, hey, you know what, Jordan's going downhill. Instead of banding together, instead of finding out, like, what the hell can we do to save this person, it's easier to just be like, yeah, just let it be, that kind of thing. And I I'm gonna be real here. When I spoke to his girlfriend and I found out that she kicked him out after the 5150, I got so mad, you guys. I got so mad because I thought, this is a person that you dated. He really needed you in his life. And because you didn't want to deal with his issues, you decided to break up with him and kick him down when he's at his lowest point of life. I get it. I get self preservation here. But I kept that in. I kept that in because it's like, what good does it do? When you say that kind of stuff after a person, after someone loses their ex, right? And I know that she knows what she did. She contributed to it. But here's the thing, like I'm saying, vultures can sense when, in my opinion, well, they say, it's contested, right? They say vultures can smell decay, early stages of decay. But I've always thought of it this way: there will be people in your life where they sense something is going wrong. And they will say, they can say, like, yeah, that person's going downhill. We'll just watch. We'll just watch from the sideline and we'll do nothing. And you need to be aware of those people. You need to be aware of those people that won't tell you certain things that you need to hear. Because those people, right, if anything happens to you, those people, in my opinion, they didn't really care about you. They didn't have enough strength. Those are not people that you really need in your life. And I think back about the Jordan situation, and I know people will say, Erica, you should go get to therapy about this, but no, I don't. I feel sadness when I think about Jordan's situation because I see it as a lot of people failed. Um, and after I found out about what happened to Jordan, that really changed my life because that's when I started telling people, hey, you know what? No matter what happens, like, reach out to me. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, they tend to forget that. Like, I've told people that several times over the years, and they're like, Erica, I thought you were busy. I'm like, why didn't you reach out to me in New York? Oh, I thought you were busy. It's like, what? Frick, like, I told you this. I told you this, you guys. Like, I was going through a mental breakdown, but I didn't want to tell you, Erica, because I thought you were too busy in New York. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, like, holy crap, like, stop this shit. So, it's hard. It's hard for people to get out of their shell. But yeah, I tried, when I was in Hawaii, telling people, like, please, look, I know I've told you this before. I know you went through some dark times. I know I wasn't there, but you never told me. And I hope in the future you guys tell me about what's going on. Okay. Don't think you're a bother. Um, when it comes down to, like, friends, family, that kind of stuff, you got to be with each other through thick and thin. You can't just turn your back on people just because it's inconvenient for you, right? But then you also got some sick fucks, in my opinion, where they pretend to be your friend, right? Or pretend to be a caring person, but when you really need them, they'll just be like, you know what? I don't wanna deal with it. And that's a sign of someone who can also be, I don't want to say an enemy, but it's like, if you see something that's going on and you see the downfall of a person who was very successful, who was on a really successful life, like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, I've told you guys this before. I really felt like Jordan could have changed the world profoundly with his mind. He was by far very, very, very gifted. And I mean that in, his mind was on a whole nother level. And it saddens me because he could have, I feel like, really radically or revolutionized his field. He started taking master level classes when he was a freshman. He was really, really passionate about that field. He had a mind, like, just a brilliant mind. And yeah, so I think about the person that I knew. I don't think about the person that was cocky. But even though we parted ways, I never hated Jordan. I never wished this kind of thing to happen to him. I sincerely thought he was doing fine in life. Um, but that wasn't the case. So I just feel like there were a lot of people that failed Jordan. And that's what sucks. And that's why he passed away. I think he passed away in his, like, mid 20s. A life cut far too soon. And I feel sad because I never ever thought he would have had a state of mind so dark that he would have OD'd. Seriously, this guy was not like that when I knew him. So If you guys know anybody who is mentally in pain, you have two choices to make. I don't want you guys to have another Jordan. I don't want you guys to have hear about something similar to Jordan in your life. Okay? I really would recommend, and I'm not going to be preachy here, but I would really recommend that if you care for a person, ask yourself, are you going to be there for them? Are you going to help support them, right? When they're going down? Are you going to try and get them help if they need it? Or will you sit back and then look at them from the sidelines, pretend to be their friend and not do shit? Will you be like, hey, you know what? I really care about a person, but instead of really doing anything, you're possibly talking crap behind their back while they're through some tough times. And I know based on what I hear from people, remember I talked to several people who knew Jordan, there was some things going on where he had a best friend who he felt like he couldn't really trust. And I don't know what the situation is really, but he trusted a person and he felt like they weren't really there for him because of something, but they never disclosed to me what it was because he told that person, he said, don't ever say what it was. I don't know what it was. I have no idea. But you don't have that kind of thought about your closest inner circle and things like that. So what was his closer inner circle? It would be his best friend, it would be his girlfriend, it would be his parents, right? Parents kicked him out, girlfriend kicked him out after he got 5150 and broke up with him, best friend. Yeah, I don't know. But I do know I heard about the best friend. After he passed away, they reached out and they said they wanted his camera, and they said why, and he said, well, they partially paid for it. I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought to myself, like this is like, I get it, but it's pretty inconsiderate, like after a person passes away to already try to lay claim to their property. You see what I'm getting at? Like it's just like, like don't do this shit. Like if someone passes away, don't be all like, oh yeah, I we were supposed to be on a business venture, and yeah, their camera, yeah, I want the camera because now they're not using it anymore. It's like, can you give a grace period or something? Or like, hey, can you say, yeah, I know you're going through pain right now, but I just want to talk about I just want to talk about something that's been on my mind. Like, please don't throw anything away, kind of thing. But yeah, it was pretty soon, that the best friend laid claim to the camera, and it was just that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah. So this is some of this stuff is things that I've never spoken about in stream before. But I have nothing, I have nothing to hide about this stuff. I really thought of Jordan just being like a shooting star. And I really, really thought, you guys, I would look back at life and I would say Jordan made a huge difference in the world. And I always knew that. But because of terrible situations, because of a failing of a support system, because of all sorts of things, he just couldn't get back up. And I looked at some pictures of him, and I looked at his eyes. I remember I looked at his eyes after he passed away, right? Old pictures of him while he was alive, and I saw so much pain in his eyes. And I thought to myself, this is a person that could have really used someone who cared, not someone who saw like a decline of a person and they're all like, yeah, he's a different person. Yeah, we don't want to associate. So yeah, that's why I believe he kind of passed away. It's just like series of bad events, and he really needed someone to be there for him. And again, it just gutted me because when he passed away, he was 5 minute walking distance from me. If he had called me up, and I know people are gonna say, Erica, don't bring this up, but like if he had called me up and he had said, Erica, I'm at a really low point right now. I'm gonna be real here. I feel so alone. I would have gone out and I would have spoken to him and said, like, what the hell happened, Jordan? Like, last time I spoke to you, everything was fine. But I think he felt like there was a block, and he just felt like he couldn't talk to me. And that was something, like I said, that's what I learned from his passing. Like I said, I don't ever want to have that kind of thing where people feel like I can't talk to Erica because I haven't spoken to Erica in a while, or I tried to call Erica and Erica didn't reply. So yeah, Erica hates me or something like that. That wasn't the case. Um, but yeah, it saddens me. Okay, so be very careful about the people that you surround yourself with. Okay, I don't want you guys to go through some tough times in life, and you find or you recognize or you start sensing that people aren't really there for you. You don't need to be with people who are only there for you when things are nice and peachy. You need people who are going to ride with you through thick and thin. And if you're going through stuff, they encourage you to get help. They don't just talk shit behind your back kind of thing. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, that person, yeah, they changed, they're you see what I'm saying? Like there needs to be proactiveness done about it." And yeah, so when I was at the memorial service, people were sad, and I just my only big question is like, how the hell did that happen? And again, people just told me, they said he changed, and but nobody wanted to go really into detail the breakdown. So that's why I had to ask several individuals and kind of piece things together. And even then, I'm missing some pieces because either they don't want to tell me, or right, it's like I because I can't get it all from one person. That's why it is the way it is. I don't want you guys to ever be really alone in your life and then think that you got a pack of vultures around you. People who just look at you while you're going downhill and they do nothing. Okay? Kick those vultures out. Seriously. Get better friends, or try and hold on to your true friends, And because those people, those people, you need to really spend time and energy on them. And I'm lucky, I got a few of those people in my life that I've known for about 5-10 years or more. And I have their back, they have my back. And when I was in Hawaii, I just wanted to tell them like, hey, I'm here for you. I know you're there for me too. Let's always stay in touch. And that's a good way to prevent the Jordan situation, for sure. Because I don't want the people in my life to go through something like Jordan. See? So, yeah. Let me read this really quickly over here. You know what the thing is, Jacqueline? There's a lot of people who do self-preservation, right? They see someone hurting. Let's say someone's an alcoholic, right? And they're going through issues. It's a lot easier to be like, oh, you know what? That person's an alcoholic. Just let them be. It takes a lot more courage to reach out to a person who's starting to have a drinking problem and say, you need to get help. I'm going to help you get help. And you know what? We're going to band together with your other friends to make sure that you get help. I know you're embarrassed about this, but we want to see you get back to where you were before, or even better. That takes more work. And sometimes people, right, if you're not around good quality people, they're going to say, I don't want to deal with this stuff. I don't want to deal with having to work with other people, or, spend hours on the phone talking to someone, because that's not my problem. Right? And those kind of people, they exist. I've been around a bunch of people where they're like, you know what? I don't want to talk to you when you're sad. I only want to talk to you when you're happy. Right? Because but you know what the funny thing is? If they have a certain kind of issue, right? It's like, you know that they're going to want to reach out to people. But I really think like friendships and relationships, it's a give and take situation. People, when they're not in a good mental state, they can be a completely different person. And I know this. I know this from personal experience. And I recognize this, right? So Jordan, the person that I knew, Jordan, I don't think he changed as a person. Hearing what I heard is, I think he was mentally hurt, psychologically. He was in a lot of grief. I don't think he really recovered from it. And the only way he could get the sadness down, right? It's feeling like he screwed up his life, was through mixing over the counters with alcohol. That was his way of coping, because he could not get his family, right? His family basically disowned him. His girlfriend didn't really want to deal with it. It kind of sounded like his best friend. I got a question. So when you have to feel like you have to shoulder this burden by yourself, what do you do if you don't have a therapist? Some people, they choose to numb themselves out. And that's what I speculate happened with Jordan. Yeah, so when he got kicked out from his girlfriend's house, he effectively became homeless, right? Because his parents kicked him out. He didn't, um, I don't know what happened with the best friend, but his parents kicked him out. The girlfriend kicked him out. He had no place to stay. I don't know his money situation, but I don't think it was good. Um, and it's just like he's in his car. He's thinking to himself, most likely, I have no place to go. I'm living in my car. I really messed up, and I think that's why he just did it. You know. Um. So yeah, it's like that kind of thing. Do you have vultures in New York that want you to fail? I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised. And I've been very open about this, right? There are always going to be people in my life who, if you've only known me for like maybe a short period of time, right? There will be always this kind of thought like, hey, you got to be wary because, all women are the same, or hey, this kind of stuff. And I get it. I completely understand it, but here's the thing, right? I have to make that decision. Do I let these people get in my mind, or do I just live my life? And I can't change those people, right? I can't change people if they dislike me. And I can't change people if they have this kind of thing where they think my real character is so and so, right? Because, like I said, if I was not a good person, I would not have a good relation with my family and friends back in Hawaii. These are people that have known me for many years, all my life. And I don't think I'm that kind of con artist where I'm just like, okay, I'll be really good to my friends and family for X amount of years, but then be another person in New York. You see? So, yeah, I was thinking about it and I thought, you know what, I don't want to spend mental energy on that stuff. I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to live my life, and I'm sure there's going to be someone out there in the world who says, I know the real Erica, and I know what kind of person she is. But that doesn't matter to me because at the end of the day, what matters to me is what kind of person do I think I am, and am I living that life that I want to live, right? I don't want to live a life where I have this kind of like fear response, right? I get fearful about the way people think about me because everybody has their own opinion. One person that's a really nice person can be seen as a fake person by another person, right? Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, right? But I don't like to think negatively of people, really, unless they do something to me personally. And I feel like, hey, I have a really good gauge about that kind of stuff. But there will always be people where they act a certain way in front of you, but then they don't really, you think everything's cool with them, but it's really not. These people just kind of wait. They're like, oh, I'm going to wait till the match slips. I'm going to wait till they fail, kind of thing. It's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. And yeah, I had this little moment where I was like, what do, kind of thing. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I can't live a life where I'm trying to, you know, appease everybody. I can just really live life how for myself, right? And like not think about, random person on the internet who has this kind of thing. I've read certain comments, I've read many comments about me. And you know what? Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. At the end of the day, I know the people who really love, support me, and care for me, and they're not seeing only, one interaction with me or two interactions with me in person, and that kind of stuff. Because like, yeah, even YouTube edited videos, like not YouTube videos, like someone can see me and then I can just make a face and people are like, oh look, she looks so miserable, kind of thing. It's like, no. Or, oh, she's turning away from something. Oh, must be, sign of this. It's like, no, what if I was looking at something behind me? That kind of thing, you see? Um, so yeah, I don't want to fall into this whole thing where, but I want you guys to all be wary, right? If you are living your life and there's something that happens, make sure you know who you can fall on, okay? Make sure you know who you are too, because that is the most important thing. It's not really what other people think about you as much, but it's like, are you living the life that feels like that's the kind of person you are? You see what I'm getting at? Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like, if you feel like you're a kind person, are you kind to people, right? Or do you feel like you're a kind person, but then you like tear people down? Is it like a real kind person wouldn't really do that? But yeah. So all that stuff, and I hope you guys have really good people in your life. If you don't, right? If you feel like you're in a Jordan situation, please, please, please find better friends, because the Jordan situation, in my opinion, it could have been preventable. He really needed help. He needed people to band together and not just see him falling down or just being all like, yeah, my boyfriend's going through some time and I can't deal with it, so let me take his house keys. Let me kick him out. You see? That's something, you know? And I just when I heard that, I didn't react. I just listened. Because when someone's telling you something like that, you don't want to argue with them because it's already done. And yeah, it's just like you don't want to argue. You want to hear what was their thinking behind it. And at the end of the day, I believe the girlfriend kicked him out because she was just preserving her own ass. She said, I don't care about this guy. I don't want to be with him because it's not convenient for me to be with him when he's really depressed and when he's really down. That's the truth. That's the truth. And I know Jordan enough that I know he wouldn't have done that if she was in that situation. I know he wouldn't have. And people told me Jordan changed, but I don't think Jordan's heart would have changed. I think he was a very sensitive person. Um, and he just couldn't deal with it. You know, he was kind of like, I don't want to say awkward, but he was kind of awkward. He had a much, much more bigger mind than me, for sure. But there were certain things in him that I saw in myself, and I think that's why we got along. And when he passed away, I just, I just felt like, gosh, I would have never ever imagined Jordan that would have happened to Jordan. And it's still, like I said, it still saddens me when I think about it. And people who know both of us, I don't think they would have ever expected me to still be thinking about Jordan's passing. But I think about Jordan's passing because it's just like there were other things in my life that happened that just kind of make me think like, poor Jordan, you know. And yeah, but you will see people who just walk away when it's not convenient for them to be in your life anymore. You will see people who walk away when you really need them, and they'll just dismiss you as too mentally fucked up. You know, you will see people who are just like, I don't want to associate myself with people who are going down because I need to be with the winners in life and only the winners in life, and I am all powerful. I don't get sad, that kind of stuff. I just go. But here's what I learned in life. Here's what I learned in life. If you bottle up feelings and you forget that you're human in a sense, and you just focus on issues and you just go, 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 inevitably it will resurface and it will explode. And it's not healthy. I've known people where they keep their feelings in and they talk down to other people. And you know what happens? I realize that that person is really mentally fucked up. You know? You don't kick a person when they're down. Really, you don't. That's not a human thing. It's not like, a powerful person kicks another person when they're down. But yeah, I've known people like that as well, right? They say, yeah, I want to be a winner in life. I don't want to be a loser. So I don't waste my time with people who are depressed because those people will pull me down. But tell me what happens when you yourself become suppressed. Why would people spend time on you if you're not willing to extend a hand to other people as well? See, you guys know this, right? I've always said, like, at the end of life, what matters is our bonds with people, our relations with people. It's not the money, it's not the status, it's not, possessions. It's really who's there for you in your life. How did you treat people? Now, I wanna live a long life where I have people in my life for many, many, many years, and I'm there with their ups and their downs and things like that. I recognize everyone's imperfect. I'm definitely imperfect. And that's what makes life, I think, really something, right? Because hey, there are people that I'm rooting for, and there are people that are rooting for me. And yeah, the most important thing is to be there for people, especially if they feel like they're alone, right? Jordan felt like he was alone, and I think he really was alone. I hate to say it that way because if you get rid of your best friend, you get rid of your girlfriend, you get rid of your family, what do you have? Not much. And I think that's what influenced him to just lose faith in life because he felt he had nobody to turn to. Yeah. So yeah. No, you're not naive. I mean, like, what's gonna happen if you know what the thing is? Like, if you see someone going through something, if you're close with them, or if you feel like you can call yourself a friend, you gotta tell them. You gotta tell them certain things because if they don't recognize certain things that's going on, like someone having an alcohol problem, it's like what favors are you really doing if they actually do end up becoming a full blown alcoholic, right? You saw it happening and you didn't stop it. And then what? It gets out of control and then you'll be like, oh yeah, well, so and so really, I guess so and so's an alcoholic now. I guess they're lost. Oh well, not my problem. Not my problem. And there's also going to be some sick fucks out there. I'm not going to lie, who will see a person who was a great person who becomes an alcoholic and say, "Yeah, I don't want to deal with that alcoholic because they're going to drag me down. They're a total mess." Haha. Oh wow. So they're spending all month just drinking. Oh well, that sucks. At least I'm not that loser. You see? There's going to be people like that. It's like you think that they might be your friends, but if you become an alcoholic, they're going to think to themselves, yeah, well, good thing I didn't associate, good thing I didn't reach out or I didn't invest my time into so and so cuz yeah, she ended up being a full-blown alcoholic. I don't want to be around an alcoholic. Alcoholics are losers. And it's like you're not helping society that way. And it's sad because it's like some people with alcoholism, they struggle for many, many, many years. And I really feel like people, if they are an alcoholic, they really should check into things like, AA Anonymous, and get help for it. Because I really feel like if people want to live a better life, they really should, but they need support for it if they're feeling weak, 1000%. Um, yeah, people ultimately have to do it for themselves. But no, when you really, really love someone, you'll stay away from them. Real love separates. I disagree with you. I disagree with you 1000% because that's like saying like, yeah, if I see someone stumbling in life, then I should separate myself because I care about them. That's not really loving someone. That's being delusional. That's being delusional. Because it's like, what good do you have when you see someone turning into a total train wreck and you just say, like, I love them so much, I don't want to get involved, right? Those are the people, if they're hurting, they need people to reach out. 1000%. It's not like I love them so much, so I'm gonna leave them alone. Are you really gonna tell me that people love Jordan so much that they wanted to separate themselves from it? No, it was a self-preservation thing. I completely understand it. And Jordan needed people in his life. He really needed people in his life who were just going to be like, hey, Jordan, you know what? You're going through issues. You need help. You know what? I know you're a stranger to your family. Let's try and work with it. Let's try and talk to your family because you need a place to stay. And I know shit happened with your family in the past. but I don't think they're bad people. Let's see if we can talk to your relatives, your aunts, that kind of stuff. You see? So yeah, I don't believe that whole thing where it's yeah, when you really, I mean really love someone, you'll stay away from them. Like, no, that's if you really, that's like if you're just being selfish and you're looking out for yourself. Because I can say, yeah, I saw a person stumbling down the street, and yeah, I didn't bother calling the cops because I really love them. I really care about humanity, like that. I mean, people are not gonna be able to tell me like, oh, I really love Jordan so much, so I saw him going down this decline, and I chose to stay away because I loved him. Like, no, you show someone you love them when they're in pain by supporting them, by trying to make them a better person. By saying, hey, shit happens, move forward, that kind of stuff. I know it's not gonna be easy, Jordan. I know your family situation isn't good, but let's see what we can do. And it's going to be inconvenient for us to do this shit. But you know what, Jordan? We love you. We care about you. We want to see you thrive. You've been through some dark times. We know you're no longer in med school. We know you lost your husband. But this does not mean, Jordan, that your life has to end here. You have a lot of potential, Jordan. You can always try. You can always try to make things better. You can always pivot. But no, I guess people loved him so much they just walked away. Like, don't say that shit. Seriously, don't say that shit. I know it sounds like I'm getting triggered, and I am because, again, I've been to the memorial service. I spoke to people. I spoke to the girlfriend, and yeah. So right. Yeah. So I think that Joe. I think that what you're saying, it shows how I think it reflects a lot because it's like you have to ask yourself, if you were placed in a really dark situation, would you really feel that someone really, really loves you if they're not there for you? It doesn't feel like love. I'll tell you that 100%. It feels like abandonment. And when you feel abandoned, you feel hurt, and when you feel hurt, depressive feelings come in. And there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of, there's possible confusion too. And some people, the only way they get rid of that pain is by doing things that is a permanent solution that doesn't really make things better. I think Jordan tried to scuff out his pain, but he never realized how much people he hurt afterwards by his actions. Again, it's been over 5 years, and I still think about Jordan, and I remember how Jordan lived. But the upside about that is that I told myself, I said, I never want anybody to feel like I turned my back on them, like Jordan felt like people turned their back on him. See, so all in all, I don't want to repeat myself. I know this has been a 43-minute chat, but be mindful about who you're around. Be mindful about how you treat people. And recognize that people will go through ups and downs in life. They'll go through some terrible shit. They might lose their husband, their wife, their kid, their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister. Everybody's going to lose someone. And grief and pain affects people on a different level. Jordan's life really went downhill after his husband passed away. And again, based on what I'm hearing, it sounded like the family they didn't approve the marriage because he was gay. So when he was going through the grief and he lost his mind, they were less supportive, it sounded like. And that is a really stupid thing to do. I don't understand how someone can be so narrow-minded and be like, oh, okay, well, I love my son, but I'm going to kick my son out because my son's in pain because his husband passed away. It's like, hello? Like, people love who they love. And yeah, maybe it doesn't fall in line with your beliefs, but that is your son. You don't do that to your son. You don't kick your son out and just leave him out there or just like disown your son because of that. So that's why when I found out the mom was in the ICU, I just thought to myself, like, I'm trying to feel bad, but it's hard for me to feel bad based on what I find out, right? It's like you feel so caught up that your son passed away, but do you realize what your actions did? Your actions contributed to your son feeling abandoned. Who wants to lose who wants to get like basically disowned or kicked out by their family? Nobody. So yeah, some people think like I have a big heart for people, and I do have a big heart for people, but there are certain things that when I hear about things being done about other people or towards other people, it just makes me feel a little bit more like I question it. I question it. Oh, thanks, Danny. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. But yeah, so all that stuff I've been saying, I hope the information that I share with you in streams, my life experiences, things that I've heard about, it makes you more aware of certain things. And again, surround yourself with people who really love and care about you, who will be there through thick and thin, who won't be there just because it's convenient. And by all means, don't be around people who kick you when you're freaking down. Or they don't tell you when you're going down because it's inconvenient for them. You see, the Jordan situation, he really didn't have enough support. It's easy to tell someone at a memorial service like, oh, he changed, and it's hard for people to say like, you know what, this is all the stuff that we did to try to make him better. I didn't hear anything of that, and I spoke to multiple people. It was just like, oh, he changed, he became a different person. And I remember thinking to myself like, he looked up to you. He respected you, he cared so much about you, he thought of you in this way from what I remember. And it's like, you couldn't be freaking inconvenienced to go ahead and help him out? Like, are you serious? Like, it's just like, oh, he passed away. That's a sad thing. Like, you can tell based on people's emotions, it's like kind of removed. It's like, he was such a, I felt like he was a burden to people. And yeah, and I know people will say, like, what would you have done, Erica? I would have told Jordan, Jordan, I know you were the kind of person you were before, and you're always a fighter, and you need to be a fighter. You're not around good people, Jordan. But what are you gonna do about it? Are you really just gonna medicate yourself with prescriptions and alcohol and think that's gonna solve your problem? Or are you gonna try and move forward, make amends with your family? Not you having to make amends, but you trying to explain to them about, hey, you know what, this shit isn't healthy for me. And just say, F you, girlfriend, how can you kick me out like this? Like, I'm not going to take that shit. Like, you know what? You say you care about me. A caring girlfriend does not kick a boyfriend out when he just got released from a 5150. Like, no. No. And she knew he was going to be homeless immediately. So is it any surprise that he went directly to his car and overdosed? It's not surprising at all. It's not, you know. So yeah, don't be don't ever find yourself in the situation of the girlfriend. And it's like I had many conversations with her afterwards, and she told me how much she loved him, how much she missed him, and things like that. And I thought, look, if you really loved your boyfriend, you wouldn't have kicked him out without nothing to go to just because it was convenient for you. You see, like, don't tell me that that's real love, because real love is not putting someone out who just went out of a freaking hospital for a psychological evaluation and saying, yep, you know what, it's too much for me to handle, boyfriend, but I love you very, very much. So you're off on your own. I want my house keys back. But I love you. Is that really love? No, that's not love. That's selfishness. That's not caring for someone. So all that stuff I heard, I thought it was just regret. So it's like, I heard it. And again, I could have blown up, but I chose not to blow up because I thought I need to hear about what's going on. And my statement still stands. Jordan needed support, and he never got that support. He just had a bunch of vultures around him. I wonder how many people on the streets now are in his situation. I don't know. I'm sure there are people. There are people who are like domestic violence survivors and things like that, and they left. You hear about people from broken families on the streets, and that's why when people tell me stuff like, "Oh, Erica, the people on the streets they're all drug addicts, they're all bad people," I'm like, no. You don't know. Like freaking Jordan was homeless. He's not a terrible person. He's not a, he isn't like he wanted to be on the streets. This guy would have changed the world, in my opinion. Like, I really believed in him. Okay, his mind was brilliant. Okay, it was brilliant. He was so focused. He was just he was just like everything. It's like I kind of thought like, man, my mind will never ever get on that level. But I was in awe of him because, like I said, I saw him like a shooting star. I just saw him go confidently in life, and when he became cocky, I said, you know what? If he's gonna be cocky like this, I'm not gonna. I can't be around a person like this, but it's not like I'm gonna sabotage him or anything like that, right? It's just like, you know what? We're gonna go our own ways, but I still wish him the best. No, yeah, people are kicked out for all sorts of things, right? Disowned by the family, sexual orientation, religious views, domestic violence, um, you know, the money issues, financial, right? Evictions too. So when I look at people on the street, I don't just lump all of them up as like, oh, this person just got out of Rikers or something like that. Oh, this person must be evil. This person must be dangerous. No, no, not at all. Hawaii has a homeless problem too, and you can't tell me a 3-year-old girl is a terrible person, right? Some people are born into situations. There's this documentary called Dear Thalia, and I recommend watching it. I just typed it in chat. I don't know if you guys can watch it for free. But yeah, that was a family in Honolulu, not Honolulu, I think it was Honolulu, Hawaii. Yeah. And they were living in a park, and the husband was working insane hours, and he lost his job due to health issues, and they found themselves homeless because they were living paycheck to paycheck. And it was a very humanizing thing. So please don't look at the homeless people as like all, shooting up left and right, because they're not. There's a lot of like, people. It's just like they just fell on hard times. And Jordan fell on hard times too. So that's all. That's all. So I got to get through on with my day. I wanted to make this a really short chat, and look at this. It turned into a 52-minute chat. It turned into a 52-minute thing. But yeah, I hope you guys surround yourself with good people. Check your behavior, okay? If you're going through some issues, and I don't mean mental issues like a bad thing, because you guys know, right? I'm not always happy. I've been very open about mental health, depression, anxiety, but recognize that, hey, you know what? If you're going through something, ask yourself, like, are you moving forward, or are you moving forward in a healthy manner, or are you actually, doing certain actions that can hurt someone, right? Inadvertently. You don't want to reach out to someone because they're in a bad place. But if you say you care about them, reach out to them. Say, hey, you know what? I might not be there for you as much because I'm really kind of mentally fucked up too right now. But hey, I care about you. Give me a call if anything. I might not be able to give you the best advice, but I recognize that you need to get help. You need to go and seek therapy so you can live a life that's better. I feel like you don't have it under control. And that's okay not to have it under control. Shit, a lot of people don't have control over their mental health. And that's, but there's a lot of people who suffer in silence. And then they go down a decline. And then some people, they don't tell them about it. They just distance themselves. And the person gets worse. And then they get worse and worse and worse. And then, in Jordan's case, yeah, it just got really bad. So to the point that he overdosed. Yeah. So don't treat people like how Jordan was treated. You know, don't be that person. And if you recognize someone is hurting, please reach out to them. If you yourself is hurting for whatever reason, reach out to other people too, you guys. Okay. Um, people that you speak to, people that you consider friends, because there's nothing taboo about mental health issues. We all go through good days, we all go through bad days, we all go through terrible experiences, and some of them can be very traumatic. But you have a support system around you for a reason, and that's support. And people really need to realize that. Not just for you, your friends too, okay? So tell them that too, because I don't want anybody feeling like they're going through issues in life alone. That's not good. And I also don't want anybody to freaking waste their time on people who it's like they don't have their back, or they just kick them when they're down kind of thing. Like, oh, um, Yeah, you just went to the hospital, you got 5150. I can't deal with it. Give me your house keys, you know. We're over. And that's a freaking whole another level of coldness. And then you hear like, "Oh, but I really love Jordan. I miss him so much." It's like, "Do you really? Do you?" Yeah. Um yeah. So, I want all of you guys to be happier. I'm not saying I want you to be happy all day every day because that's not realistic, okay? But I hope that by knowing what I'm sharing about, uh, by hearing by this kind of stuff, I hope you really do focus on having a good support system because maybe one day you'll really need that support system. And a true support system can take years to really develop, okay? Not like 2 months. It can take years because you need to have a good base with people, right? It's all about connection, it's all about openness, and it's all about just saying, hey, let's be there for each other, right? Um, it's hard to kind of find a lot of people like this because you'll have people who say, I don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with it. You know, I want to be a winner in life. I'm not going to associate myself with losers who get depressed, losers who have anxiety, right? You don't need those people. You don't need those people who look down on you for having mental health issues. You really don't. Okay, and yeah. So you guys take care, and yeah, if someone rejects you for opening up a lot of your struggles without dumping, of course, they weren't your friends to begin with. I 100% agree with you, and you shouldn't even waste your time investing your time and energy into that person because you will be there for them, but they won't be there for you. You know, because you'll be like, hey, you know, I heard what happened when your parents got divorced and how much affected you, and when you really need them, they could just be all like, suck it up, buttercup. That happened to me. I had this one friend that I had known for over, I know it was definitely over 5 years, and then something terrible happened in my life, and they were just so cold. They were so cold to me, and I never forgot it at all. And I really needed them in my life during that period of time, but it was too inconvenient for them. You know, maybe that's how they show they really love me, but I disagree. And I got better, you know. I got better. I'm not saying I'm 100%, but I got better. But what I remember is how they were. And I remember the words they said to me. And it's really something where you feel like you're going through a tough time. You know you're going through a tough time. It's painful to go through that stuff. And you can sense that people expect you to fail. You know, people are kind of like dismissing you. They're like, oh, she's too messed up. You know, whatever. Just leave her be. You know, she'll just let her basically die by herself, kind of thing. And you sense that, and once you sense that, you have two roads to take. You can either let it break you, or you can basically say, "Fuck you." You know what? I'm not gonna let this thing break me. I'm not gonna give you that satisfaction of saying you're right. I'm not. So I've always chosen once I sense that kind of thing in people, I say, you know what? I'm not going to give them that satisfaction. I really, 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 like, I knew I was going to get through things, but it's like that's one of the catalysts because I don't like giving people that power where they say, yeah, I knew so and so was an alcoholic. I knew she was going to be a mess. She's always going to be a mess. You know, by the way, I've never had an alcohol problem, by the way. Um, I've never had alcohol. I barely drink. I like drink maybe once every couple of years kind of thing. But, you know, it's like if you hear that and you hear someone all like, yeah, you know, just leave them for dead. You know, they're an alcoholic. You can make that as your fuel. You can make that to be your jet fuel to get out of that situation because you know someone's like, they can't do it. They're a mess. They're a failure. And I deem them to be a failure because I know them better than themselves. And I'm like, nope, 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 nope. If I was an alcoholic, I would say, you know what? No, screw that. Screw that. You know what? After you get over that pain and that hurt and confusion, just be like, you know what? Screw you. I will get over this damn thing. And after I get over this thing, You know what? I'm going to remember. I'm going to remember how you treated me, and I'm going to cut you out of my freaking life because I don't need people like that in my life. You see? And that's what I've done in my life. There are people that I've had in my life for a number of years, and I had to cut them out because life happened, and I got depressed, and I heard certain things. It was like I wouldn't even tell my worst enemy this kind of thing. And I think it's like it's very telling when you're in a bad place how people treat you. Do they really try to go for the jugular, or do they say, "Hey, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's going on." See? If someone goes for your jugular while you're down, you have to defend yourself. You have to really just you have to like not let it kill you because like I said, Jordan's actions, what happened with Jordan? He didn't have support. I'm sure he was told things. I'm sure he was told words, okay? I know he was told words. And he let those words go for his jugular. And he ended up passing away. That's why he's no longer on this realm. You know what you do, Andre? You don't have to dump these people, but you have to just say, hey, you know what? I want the best for you. If you ever need to reach out, let me know, but I want to see progress forward. I see you going down this cycle in your head. I see that, let's say you're going through alcohol all the problem, and you've been struggling with alcohol for a while, but have you signed up for Alcohol Anonymous? Have you gone ahead and signed up for a therapist? Have you tried to go and join some support groups? That kind of stuff. All those kind of support things will help immensely with people. Definitely. But if everybody gets kind of like stuck in their head and they don't do anything different, right? They don't have something that breaks the cycle, then that's why depression can really affect them, right? It's like being that person where you just talk down on yourself every day, right? And you're like, I'm so terrible at cooking. I'm so terrible at cooking. I hate cooking. I'm so terrible at cooking. Like, if you don't break that kind of mindset and say, you know what? Yeah, I suck at cooking right now, but you know what? I try it every day. I try to be a better cook. And you know what? I think I am getting a little better. You see, it's like reframing that mind. If you're not reframing your mind, then is it any wonder if you go through like 3 years of I suck at cooking, I suck at cooking, I suck at cooking, right? Especially if you don't work on your cooking, right? You wake up in the morning, you're like, I suck at cooking, but I'm not going to try cook. But I know I suck at cooking. See? Jordan was a person that I went to college with. We were the same age, I believe. We actually lived pretty close to each other too. We lived in the same area, and when he passed away about 5 minutes away from where I lived. He had moved in with his girlfriend and got dumped by his girlfriend, and she basically just couldn't deal with him. She claimed she loved him, and I'm like, you don't love a person if you kick them out after 5150. I'm talking like when he got released, she took the frickin' keys and said, I'm breaking up with you. I can't deal with this. Is this about cutting people that may be family in your life if they're not caring or respecting you? I would say check and make amends with these people. Try to find out what's going on. And if you can't come to understanding with them, right, then you just say, hey, you know what? You don't have to tell family like you disown them or something. Just be like, hey, you know what? I know we have our differences, but I really care about you. And if you want to talk, here's my number. Give me a call anytime. Something like that. See? That's how you do it. I don't do the whole explosive thing. People can always, people will tread water and they will struggle, Andre, but some people need more of a support, right? So for instance, right? Imagine a person struggling, right? You can send out a lifeguard to rescue them, or you can throw them a little buoy, right? A little life raft, or you can send a ship to them, Or you can you can throw a net over them and just like airlift them out of the ocean, right? There's always different ways you can approach things. That's what I'm saying at. So in that situation, right, what you can do is, depending on their problem, get them connected with a therapist, get them connected with a support group, get them connected with a group, like Alcoholic Anonymous, right? They can talk to an alcoholic specialist, they can go to an AA meeting, they can go join a Reddit group, they can go ahead and join some online group, like one of those Yahoo groups, sort of thing. I don't know if Yahoo groups is still around, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? As long as they're around people who it's like, hey, you know what, we're all a bunch of alcoholics, we're not happy with where we are, but we want to be better, so let's support each other. Yeah, it's been X amount of days since I had my last drink, and it's like that kind of stuff. Oh, I stumbled, I still drink, right? And people will not, it's like a safe space, I imagine, right? People would say, yeah, you know what, you went 1 week without drinking, you stumbled, try again. Let's see if you can go 2 weeks without drinking. It's not going to be easy, but let's see if you can do it. See? That kind of thing. Like, as long as people keep trying to move forward, right? It's like that's the most important thing. Now, I do recognize that sometimes when people are in their head, right, they don't realize what they're doing. They don't see it. They might not even be able to see a solution, right? Like a person who's alcoholic, you think they don't know what Alcoholic Anonymous is? No, but they might think that they're so lost in their head, they might not even try to go to Alcoholic Anonymous because they're like, oh, I'm so ashamed about being alcoholic. Yeah, if you don't want to seek help, that's a whole nother story, right? But if you're just in a place of pain, and if you're in a place of pain and you're not aware of how bad the situation is, like someone doesn't recognize, like, hey, shit, yeah, I really do have it out of control. I'm drinking from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I can't do my job very well. I'm not answering the phone. I'm passing out, that kind of shit. Like, yeah, like before it gets to that point, there's a lot of people who see this stuff, right? You don't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to drink all day, every day, kind of thing. It gradually increases, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you see someone who's going not so great, going not on a not so great path, you nip it at the freaking bud before a person drinks multiple bottles of alcohol every single day, right? Because it's easier to say to someone, hey, you know what? I noticed you've been drinking a little bit more. You got to cut it down, right? Because I've seen it affect people really badly. And I don't want that for you. See? So if you reach out and someone says, like, oh, yeah, well, I'm starting to drink because I'm stressed out about my job, right? You could say, well, okay, let's talk about it. Why are you stressed out about your job? Why do you think alcohol is a good coping mechanism? It actually doesn't help solve the situation at all. Like, yeah, you might be numbed out a little, you might be distracted, but that doesn't change the fact that your job sucks. So let's talk about it. Can you make your job better? Do you have to stay with your job? Why is your job stressing you out? Because I don't feel alcohol should be the solution for that. You drinking alcohol isn't going to make your job situation, it's not going to make any job issues go away. In fact, it might actually stop you from finding a solution to it. You see what I'm saying? Like that kind of conversation? Yeah. See, Sorrento says, I think meditation is a good way to keep yourself calm over drinking. See? So that's what I'm talking about. Solutions, right? You see someone drinking, find out why the hell they're drinking, and then you can say, hey, okay, if you're stressed about your job, why don't you meditate instead, right? That's why you have to reach out to people. Reach out to people and tell people things, because if you notice they're going into bad habits, it's much easier to stop it early on than it going spiraling out of control. Okay? So this has turned into a much longer stream than I planned it to do, but I thought it was a really important stream. Thank you so much for you guys for listening, and yeah, remember, always move forward in life. Be there for one another, okay? Don't tear each other down. If someone's going through a tough time, don't be that asshole who tears them down. And don't be that asshole who's like, oh, if you're sad, you're just, you're a loser because, winners just move forward. No, freaking robots move forward without stopping. Humans have emotions, humans have feelings, humans have relationships. And yeah, so I've cut down those people in my life. I mean, I've not cut down. I've cut out those people in my life, and I'm like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I don't need a person who's like, just basically be some unemotional, insensitive asshole kind of thing. What if they refuse you know what, group therapy ain't cheap. It depends. You can find some support groups. There's some Reddit groups as well. Reddit, I'm sure there's a Reddit Alcohol Anonymous group out there, right? What if they refuse your advice? Would you let them share your home, especially with someone who's mentally unstable? Popshan, it really depends on how close I am to that person. It really depends. For me, if they have family, I wouldn't, because I would say, hey, you know what? If you're living with your family, if you can move back into your family, move in with them, because the main support system, and this is just my opinion, is going to be the closest people. And chances are, usually, people are very close with their mom and dad, right? Or their aunts and their uncles. If they refuse my advice, that's okay. But I would turn it at them and say, well, what is your solution for getting out of this problem? Because obviously, you drinking all day, every day, is not making this situation better. You have a problem. You have a problem. This is getting out of control, and you need to be strong and tackle this head on. Now, I understand this might seem very overwhelming, but let's talk about it. Let's get you out of this situation, kind of thing, right? And then if I know any other friend, right, say like so and so, and me and this person, like, we can help you, and then we can encourage you, reach out to your family and just be open about it. Be all like, hey, you know what? I'm struggling with this kind of issue. I need help. I need people who are supportive of me. If I go, if I need people to just help me out. What if your advice and pushing ideas onto them is exactly the stuff they're trying to get rid of? Um, like, having enough of overbearing around you who think they know best of you, that would be a perception thing, because I think at the bottom line of it, if anyone's head is not up their ass, they would say, why is this person taking their time out to help me in? It's not because they find happiness in, trying to be overbearing, but it's because they want what's best, what they feel is best. And if anybody is struggling in life, I think people don't want to see a person struggle. They want to see them be happier, right? So I would talk about it, and I would say, look, I'm not reaching out to you because I'm looking down at you. I know who you were before, or I heard about how you were before this issue, and I want you to be that person again. I think you would be happier being that person again, because from what you're telling me, you're not happy drinking all day. And I get it. A lot of people struggle with that same kind of issue, and you know what? There's a lot of success stories, and I know you can also be a success story as well. But it's not just two people. I really think you need to have a support system, and let's find you in a support group and things like that. See? See? Jordan really needed to have support. He really needed a support group. He needed people reaching out to him, and he didn't have that. See? It's what I believe is best doesn't mean it actually is. I don't think anyone's gonna contest if someone is alcoholic and drinking all day. Me telling them like, hey, you got to cut down your drinking. This drinking is controlling your life. That I think that's the best. That might seem really cocky, but I'm gonna say that if someone is drinking all day, they really shouldn't be drinking all day. They got to be living their life away from the freaking bottle. Because what happens? Drinking all that alcohol isn't good on your organs too. It's not good on your mental health, because you're going to be in this kind of like altered state of sorts, right? You're not focused. You don't think with a clear head. And if you're not thinking with a clear head, you're not going to realize that life goes on. Life is in front of you. You see where I'm getting at? Life, you gotta enjoy life, or you gotta see life how it is. I don't want to block out life. I don't want to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna be under the influence of something because I don't want to face my issues. You see? It's like, no, you gotta like see life how it is, not just kind of think like my life is gonna get controlled by a bottle. But yeah, so that's what I would say. If you can tell someone is obviously in pain about something and they're self medicating with something as a coping mechanism. uh, they gotta really figure out like what the hell is going on. Is this really a good coping mechanism? Meditation is not a bad coping mechanism, okay? Meditation, therapy, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but still, here's the thing. So Wes says I've substituted playing video games with YouTube with drinking, still avoiding response. Just because you distract yourself doesn't mean things go away. Okay, like you gotta think like what kind of life do you want to live and go towards that um, rather than kind of like avoiding certain things. You see, like if you have this thing where you don't want to acknowledge that, let's say you're reeling over the loss of your brother, right, for example, and so you're distracting yourself, like that isn't good. What I say is like you gotta face it forward and say like, hey, you know what, my brother died and I'm sad about it, but what can I do about it? I can try to live a better life in honor of my brother. I can go through life and do the things that I think that he would have loved. Okay, I think I got cut off, but yeah. Like you can live a life not mourning someone, but saying, hey, this was a good person. Their life was cut too short, but this is all the good that they tried to do in life. They tried to be kind to people. They were always nice to people. They were humble, and I want to be more like that person. I want to be the friendly person. I want to be the kind person. I want to live a life and say, I was so blessed to have their presence in my life that I want to be a better person. Just because a person dies doesn't mean all the good qualities within them die too. See where I'm getting at? Yeah. No, 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 no. It's my OBS kind of thing. So, yeah, for serious, you guys, this has been a longer stream, but I thought it was a really necessary stream. But yeah, so you can reframe it, right? You have grief from someone who died. You can, after you accept that they passed, ask yourself, the qualities that I loved in a person, am I going to allow that to die? No, you don't. If you know someone who passed away, and let's say they always, I don't know, they helped out at a animal sanctuary, right? And you think to yourself, man, that's so sad that they passed away. They were always volunteering at an animal sanctuary. That doesn't mean that you yourself can't donate your time to volunteer at the same animal sanctuary. You can say, you know what? I remember how much I respected so and so for uh, volunteering at an animal sanctuary day in and day out. They passed away now, but you know what? I'm gonna start volunteering at an animal sanctuary too, because I don't want their good deeds, what all the impact that they did in the world that I really respected and admired, to just go away. You see? You see where I'm getting at? Like, I'm not saying become that person, but what I'm saying is that if you really admired someone for what they did, that doesn't mean that you yourself can't do it, right? Volunteering, um, donating blood, that kind of stuff. See? And that way, when you look back at life, you can say, you know what? I was so sad so and so passed away, but I never forgot all this good stuff they tried to do. And whenever I volunteer, whenever I volunteer at the animal sanctuary they did, I feel happier. I feel happy because I feel like when I volunteer, they're with me. And this is a way that I remember them. This is a way that I memorialize them, right? And that's way you use your grief to still make the world a better place, because you're doing certain things that they did, philanthropy, helping out the community, that kind of stuff. See, just because someone dies doesn't mean all their good qualities dies with them. I feel like we make connections with people, and we meet people, and we're influenced by them, and sometimes we're in awe of them. But at the end of the day, we don't have to sit back and be in awe of these people. We can do those same things too, right? Like if you see someone who's always donating their time at an animal sanctuary, why aren't you donating your time too? You don't have to donate, you don't have to volunteer as much as them, but you could donate. You could volunteer once a week, once a month maybe, or hell, you don't have to volunteer to an animal sanctuary. You could say, hell with it. I'm pissed off that my community has so much litter. I'm gonna go out with some freaking gloves and a trash bag and clean up the freaking community. And that's how I'm gonna make my difference. So not have to be animal sanctuary, but you can say, I remember that person always trying to make a big difference in the world, and I'm sad because a person like that is gone. But hell, you know what? I can make a difference too. I can start cleaning up my community. I can start, doing this and doing that, right? You don't have to let grief consume you in that way. Hi, Kikat. Yeah. So think about it that way, okay? If you go through loss and you see people's qualities in them, think, how do you want to be? And that's what I learned from Jordan's passing. That's what I learned from my uncle's passing as well. And I feel I feel sad that they passed away for sure, but I feel that the way they lived has an impact because by sharing about how they lived, maybe it inspires you to be more wary about, let's say, the people that you have in your life. Maybe it inspires you to kind of think, you know what, I got to reach out to people more. Yeah, you know what, so and so's having a hard time. Let me try to be there for them. Let me try to see if I can get them a support group or encourage them to go to a support group. Or, right, maybe you think about being a kinder person because you hear about how they were to other people kind of thing. See?